Hey everyone, I'm glad you're here. Today, I've got a story to tell, one I never imagined would become part of my life. My name's Brandon, and if there's one thing life has shown me, it's how quickly everything can turn upside down. Just 3 years back, I truly believed I had it all mapped out. Marriage, a solid career, a steady future. But now, what once felt secure has become nothing more than fragments of a past life. It's strange how things unfold. I never thought I'd cross paths with my ex-wife again. But when I did, she broke down in tears. And in that moment, I wish I could say I knew what I was feeling. But I didn't. I stood there torn, part of me proud of how far I'd come, and another part quietly mourning everything I'd lost. To make any sense of that moment, I need to take you back, to where it all began. Because none of this means anything without the full picture. Catherine and I first met at the gym, where she worked at the front desk. I'd been going there for some time, and though she was always courteous, we hadn't exchanged much beyond polite greetings, until one day, we finally did. I don't even remember what sparked our first real conversation, but once it started, it never seemed to stop. There was something about her that just drew me in. I found myself hoping she'd be there each time I walked in, just so we could talk a little longer. It didn't take long for things to move beyond casual chats. We started dating, and within a little over a year, I felt like I knew her completely. Our weekends were spent together, long scenic drives, quiet evenings cooking side by side. I was sure I'd found my person, someone to build a life with. So, I asked her to marry me. She said yes. We tied the knot. Back then, it felt like everything was coming together. I had a secure job working as a back-end engineer at Airbnb, the income was solid, and we lived comfortably. Catherine was still working at the gym, but I saw so much untapped potential in her. She had a sharp, creative mind that I believed could thrive in any field she chose. I encouraged her to leave the job and explore freelancing. I offered to help her learn the ropes of my profession. We had a financial cushion, so I told her to go after something that truly fulfilled her. She agreed. It felt like we were entering a new, exciting chapter. We dreamed about what the future could look like, maybe even starting a family. But everything changed when the pandemic hit. The world came to a standstill, and Airbnb took a heavy blow. I was one of the many employees let go. There wasn't much of an explanation, but during a crisis like that, you don't really expect one. I tried to stay optimistic. I dove into personal projects I'd always shelved, hoping one of them might grow into something meaningful. But the income didn't match what we'd been used to, and reality started closing in. Eventually, I had to sit Catherine down and be honest. We needed to scale back. I told her things couldn't continue as they had. I thought she'd understand. She didn't. From that point on, something in her changed. The warmth, the connection, it all started fading. Small disagreements that used to end with laughter turned into serious arguments. It got to a point where the smallest thing could set off a storm. She began treating me like I was holding her back. She called me lazy, accused me of not trying hard enough. And no matter what I did, it felt like it was never enough. The woman I once knew felt like a stranger. It wasn't just pressure or frustration, it was like she genuinely resented me. And the harder I tried to bring us back together, the more distant she became. Eventually, she told me she wanted to visit her parents. I figured some time apart might help clear her head, give us a fresh perspective. But once she left, the silence set in. She rarely replied to my messages. Phone calls went unanswered or ended quickly. Her voice, when I did hear it, was cold and distant. Weeks went by, then months. I finally asked her when she planned to return. Her reply crushed me. I'm only coming back to collect my things. I've decided to end the marriage. I was blindsided. Sure, we had been struggling, but I never saw divorce coming so suddenly or so indifferently. She didn't want to talk things through. Didn't want to split assets fairly. All she asked for was a cash payout to avoid dragging the situation into court. I didn't have the strength left to fight. So I agreed. We settled on a sum, and that was the end of it. When she finally returned to pack up her belongings, she didn't even acknowledge me. No words. No eye contact. She just walked in, gathered her things, and walked out. I didn't let myself spiral back into that darkness. I'd worked too hard to climb out of it. I wasn't going to let one moment undo everything I'd built. A few months later, I got an unexpected invite. The company that had acquired ours was hosting their annual black tie gala, and as a new partner, I was asked to be one of the speakers for the evening. I showed up dressed to impress, wearing the sharpest suit I owned. When I caught my reflection in the mirror that night, I barely recognized the man staring back at me. He looked strong, confident, like someone who had weathered the storm and come out standing taller on the other side. The event itself was pure elegance, gleaming marble floors, soft jazz echoing through the grand hall, waiters gliding past with champagne flutes. When they called my name, I stepped up to the stage feeling steady, composed. But just as I reached the podium, something caught my eye. Catherine. She was seated at one of the tables, dressed in a striking emerald gown. She looked graceful, almost exactly as I remembered. I found out later she'd come as someone's guest. But in that instant, everything shifted inside me. I had a well-rehearsed speech ready, carefully written and business-appropriate. I didn't use a word of it. Instead, I spoke from a place deep within. I talked about the power of waiting, how sometimes we have to lose the life we thought we wanted in order to discover what we truly need. I spoke about heartbreak and how it can either harden you or mold you into something stronger. To the crowd of executives and industry insiders, it sounded like a metaphor for professional resilience. They nodded, smiled, some even clapped. But every word I said that night was meant for her. When I stepped down from the stage, I saw her wiping away silent tears. I couldn't tell which part hit her hardest, but it didn't matter. I knew she felt it. I mingled after that, chatted, networked, shook hands. But I could feel her eyes on me the entire time. It was like she was waiting for a chance to say something. That moment never came. I was surrounded, caught up in conversations. About a week later, I received a text from an unfamiliar number. "Can we meet? I really need to talk." I didn't need a name to know who it was. I read it, paused for a while, and then left it unread. A few days later, I blocked the number. Not out of anger, but because I had no desire to reopen that door. It had been 3 years since she chose to leave, and whatever she felt now wasn't my responsibility anymore. That part of my story was finished. I had written a better chapter since then. Looking back, I gained more than I ever expected. About life, about people, and most of all, about myself. I learned that patience isn't weakness, it's strength in disguise. When everything crumbled, I was terrified. I had no idea how long it would take to feel whole again. But rushing into something out of fear would have only made things worse. Rebuilding took time. There were long nights when I couldn't sleep and days when I felt completely numb. But I kept my focus on the few things I could control. Slowly, painfully, the pieces began to come together. Not all at once, but piece by piece. There were moments when I almost gave up. Came close to walking away from everything I'd started. If I had, none of this would exist. No team. No AI project. No partnership. No stage. That's why I want to say this to anyone out there who feels like they're at the end of the line. Don't give up. You have no idea what's waiting for you if you just hold on a little longer. Pain doesn't have to just sit inside you like a weight. You can use it. Let it drive you. Let it shape you into something greater. I didn't rise out of that dark place to get revenge or to prove anything to anyone. I simply refused to waste the pain. I turned it into something meaningful, and that's what carried me here. So now I ask you, if you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you have ignored that message? Blocked the number? Or would you have answered and opened the door again? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear what you do. This isn't just my journey. Many people go through their own version of this story. If any part of it resonated with you, helped you reflect, or made you feel seen, give it a like and share it. It means more than you know. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourself.